ever notice how a team can feel like things are working right up until they aren't? A workflow is humming along, people are busy, automations exist, reporting looks fine, and then one day you try to pull a simple report. How many active clients do we have? Suddenly, the numbers don't match. Sales shows one thing, delivery shows another. Finance has a third version that feels correct. And your dashboard? It's somewhere in the middle, based on fields nobody has updated in months. So what? The problem isn't the report, it's not the team, and it's not the automations either. It's the foundational health of your data, and nobody is measuring it. Welcome back to Tech Talks with Grace, the show where we turn operational chaos into clarity one system at a time. In the last episode, we connected your workflow map to your data. You learned to see the cracks, inconsistencies, missing fields, misaligned tools, ownership gaps. And today, we take the next logical and transformative step. This episode is called Introducing the Data Integrity Scoring System. This scoring system is simple, practical, and powerful. It gives you a clear numerical way to measure how ready your business is for automation and where your operational weaknesses actually are. So by the end of this episode, you'll know how to score your business across the 5 data integrity categories, what your score really means, how the scoring system guides your next operational improvement, and how to make immediate progress with one simple change. This is the episode that turns I think our systems are okay into I know exactly what needs work and where to start. Let's get into it. So why do you need a data integrity score here? Let's be honest. Most business owners don't truly know how healthy their data is. They know things work. They know automations exist. They know their team usually follows the process until something breaks. The truth is, data integrity isn't binary. It's not good or bad. It's a spectrum. And because it's a spectrum, you need a way to measure where you actually fall. Not emotionally, not based on the last fire you had to put out, but through a repeatable scoring system that reflects reality over time. A scoring system helps you prioritize your improvements, allocate time and resources, decide when automation is safe, decide when automation is dangerous, communicate needs to your team with clarity, track your operational maturity quarter after quarter. So think of your score like a diagnostic readout on a dashboard. It's not a judgment, it's just information. It's information that you can finally use to make smart decisions. So let's talk about the 5 categories that you're going to score. In episode 1, we explored the 5 pillars of data integrity. 1, consistency. 2, accuracy. 3, completeness. 4, connectivity. And 5, stewardship. Today, you're going to score each one from 1 to 5. Let's break them down in a way that you're going to score them in real life. 1, consistency. Do we do this the same way every time? A score of 1 means everyone is improvising. Forms are inconsistent. Naming conventions are wild. The same step means 3 different things depending on who's doing it. So score of 1 is the least consistent data. A score of 5 means there is one clear way of doing things and it's always followed. So what do you ask yourself to understand if you have consistent data? You ask yourself, would 2 people complete this workflow the same exact way? Are forms and fields standardized? Are my naming conventions documented and used the same way by every team member over and over again? If the answers are yes to those questions, you would have a score of 5. The next measurement, accuracy. Is the data correct? A score of 1 means people enter data from memory. There's guesswork, typos, conflicting information across your tools. So you have inaccurate data. Remember, people are entering information from their memory. There's pieces of notes or information across different things, and you can't really tell where your data is in different tools. That's a score of 1. Is the data correct? So a score of 5 would mean that you have validation rules preventing all your errors. First name, last name, automatically scripts correctly. Your data is updated in real time, not synced 24 hours, 48 hours later when finance might need it now. And there's a clear owner. So ask yourself, how confident am I in our reports? Where do my errors, or where do I see the errors, usually come from? So that was accuracy. Let's move on to step 3, or the third category of data integrity that you really need to ask yourself this question: completeness. In completeness, you need to ask yourself, do we collect all the necessary info? So what does a score of 1 mean? It means you have key fields missing. Required information is missing. Your teams frequently chase this missing information, and projects can start without all the essential details. On the inverse, a score of 5 would mean every workflow collects everything needed. No more, no less, because you can have too much data. It also means, if you have a score of 5, that you have all the necessary information from each step in every tool, and every tool speaks to each other with complete data. So what do you ask yourself to understand, do we collect all the necessary information? You need to ask yourself, how often do we pause a workflow to ask for missing information? Are our required fields truly required? Do you absolutely need that field to move on to the next step? Do you collect all the necessary information? So that takes us to the fourth possible thing you need to look at with regards to data integrity, and that is connectivity. Do our tools talk to each other properly? I found that a lot of times within this section, a lot of people have multiple tools and they believe their tools talk to each other, but you need to ask yourself this question: do our tools talk to each other properly? And how do you know? Again, we're going with actual scores and numbers, and this is what a score of 1 would mean here. You have double entry everywhere. You have duplicates in multiple locations. Your integrations break regularly, and your field mappings are wrong or unclear. So if you had a score of 5 and you had great connectivity and your tools are talking to each other properly, this means that your data flows smoothly between the systems with no human intervention. So you need to ask yourself, where do we manually transfer information, and which integration breaks the most? And that takes us to the last and final piece, and that is data stewardship or stewardship. Who maintains your data? Who maintains the data? What does a score of 1 mean here? Well, a score of 1 will mean no one owns the data quality. Duplicates continue to pile up. There are no internal audits, external audits, or any audits of any kind of your data. On the inverse, a good score of 5 or a positive score of 5 would mean there is a dedicated data steward. You have clear ownership and a maintenance rhythm. So what do you ask yourself here? Who makes sure our data stays healthy? Do we regularly check our clean data? So let's have a little illustration here. So you all know how much I love my case studies. So let's give you one here. How 1 score changed everything. Meet Atlas Legal Solutions, a 6-person boutique legal ops firm. They had automations, they had tools, they had systems, but things still felt slow, messy, unpredictable. So they ran the scoring system. And here's what they found. Their consistency was a score of 2, Their accuracy was a score of 3. Their completeness was a score of 2. Connectivity 1, and stewardship 1. Their total was 9 out of 25. Not bad, not good. Just honest. And so here's what happened next. They didn't panic. They didn't rebuild everything. They didn't add more tools. They made 1 improvement per category. They were able to standardize 3 core workflows. They added validation rules, to their forms. They made 5, count that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields required. Not 10, not 1, but 5 that helped them. They cleaned up their tool mappings. And they assigned 1 person as the data steward for 1 hour each Friday. So what were they able to accomplish in 8 weeks? Guess what happened? After 8 weeks, they went ahead and checked everything. Their duplicate records dropped by 80%. Their onboarding time dropped by 60%. And their reporting accuracy jumped dramatically. Alongside, automations running reliably for the first time ever. So here you go. The scoring system, it didn't just measure their maturity. It told them exactly where they needed to focus their efforts on. So with that small illustration here, a score of 9 out of 25, I want you guys to just really think about the different areas that you have within your practice, those 5 different categories, and think about where you fall within the spectrum of data stewardship, data accuracy, completeness, and so on. Before we end here, I will make sure to give you the actionable takeaways, and you'll see them in the show notes, so you should be able to take them and actually act on them right now as soon as you finish listening to this podcast episode. But with all that being said, the reason I'm illustrating everything with case studies is for you not to feel afraid. It's for you not to feel like you don't have the tools you need right now in your hands to take the next step for your success, to grow clarity in your business, and to understand exactly where you are to take the next step for that growth enablement and that growth strategy and that growth structure that everybody is looking for. You need to take the first step. And that first step is making sure that your data is consistent, clean, and is giving you the right reports that you need. So, as I always tell you, let's take this and make it actionable today. Here's your workshop. Let's make it real now for you. Here are 3 steps and a 3-step scoring exercise for today. Step 1. Score each category honestly. On a scale from 1 to 5, rate your consistency, accuracy, completeness, connectivity, and stewardship. I'll say that one more time. Your step 1 is to rate the 5 categories that we went over, and that is consistency, accuracy, completeness, connectivity, and stewardship. Okay? Step 2, once you've scored 1 through 5, 1 being the least consistent, accurate, complete, connected, or actually reviewed by some data steward, and 5 being wonderfully consistent, accurate, complete, and connected, and you have data stewards for every piece of the process. What you need to do next is, after you've scored 1 to 5 and rated yourself honestly, this is where you can identify the lowest scoring category. That's the category that is silently breaking your workflows. It might be something as simple as, I don't have any required fields. I don't have a data steward. Identify that lowest scoring category after you've scored it honestly. And what you're going to do next should impact you now and in the future. For your 30, 60, 90-day plans, for your immediate plans, for this week's plans, you're going to choose 1 improvement. Just 1. Something small, something practical, something that you can actually do this week. I have some examples for you so you don't have to just guess. Replace a free text field with a dropdown, making it required or having that free text field be a dropdown so that nomenclature, naming conventions are consistent based on what is actually in the dropdown. Document one naming convention. A great example, we all name files differently depending on the type of file. If it's a project file, a client file, name one convention that you're going to use across all of your business files, all of your documentation, all of your text fields. Use one naming convention and document it. Add one required field. It could be the first and last name. It could be the last name. It could be a date of birth. Whatever it is that is essential to your workflow, to your company, to making sure that data is always entered exactly the same way, add one required field this week. Fix one integration. And when I say fix one integration, what I'm talking about is essentially confirming that your information, the data in there, is speaking from one tool to the next and that it's being consistently updated through integration. Fix one integration. And finally, assign a data owner for one system. Now, remember, these are just examples. You can pick one improvement. You don't have to use all of these examples. These are all just different examples to help you take action this week to help your business be successful, have good data integrity, and grow with clarity in mind. Because remember, small improvements compound. You start with your lowest score and lift it. Your data integrity score is not a judgment. It's not a grade, and it doesn't define your business. It simply shows you where clarity is needed and where automation can safely support you. Today, you built a baseline, a true picture of your operational foundation. In the next episode, we'll go deeper into what your score means, because the number itself is only the start. The next episode is called Interpreting Your Score, What It Reveals About Your Systems. So if today's episode gave you any clarity, please share it with your team. Get them involved. Scoring works best when everyone sees the same truth and is pulling behind the same goal. I'm Grace, and this is Tech Talks with Grace. I'll see you in episode 6.